Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about reference angles. But first I want to talk about just the circle and looking at circular functions in general. Okay, so grab some paper. Let's take some notes. Okay. Okay, so just looking at circular functions, how many degrees are in a circle? 360. So we're going to start here on the terminal side, and that's going to be 0 degrees. And if we go all the way around, then it will be 360 degrees. So counting by 90, we're going to go counterclockwise, 0, 90, 180, 270. Okay. And we could break it up some more. We could break it up into 45s, 45, 90, 135, halfway between 180 and 270 is 225, and halfway between 270 and 0 is 315. Okay, and you could break it up more. We could count by 30s. Okay, 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 210, 240, 270, so that would be 300 and 330, and if we come all the way back around, we're here at 360. Okay, so the thing about angles is angles that are in the same relative position have the same trig value. So if we can find a reference angle, which is a smaller angle between 0 and 90, if we can find a reference angle, then we can find a trig function of a bunch of different things. Okay, so reference angle is, oops, an acute angle, so that means it's less than 90 degrees and it's positive, made with the closest x-axis. Okay, so for example, if we had the angle 160 degrees, okay, 160 degrees, that looks like a terrible circle, but that's okay. 160 degrees would be right here, because it's almost at 180, and then your reference angle is with the closest x-axis, and our closest x-axis then would be here at 180, And so I'm looking for this little angle. And so we would just say 180 minus 160, and that gives us a reference angle of 20. Okay, so sometimes you will subtract from 180, and then sometimes we'll subtract 180 from our other number. So that was something in the second quadrant. Let's look at one in the third quadrant. Suppose we have 240 degrees. So your first step is to always just draw where that is. 240 degrees would be about right here. So our closest x-axis is 180, and we're looking for the angle that's made in between 240 and 180, and it needs to be positive. It's always made with good question, really good question, because 270 is closer than 180, but your reference angle always has to be made with the horizontal. So it's either made with 180 or it's made with 0, but you don't ever do it with 270. So closest x-axis is 180. So this time we're taking the difference between those. So we'll do 240 minus 180 and get 60 degrees. So we can't use the y-axis or 270. So the first one we subtracted the 180 minus the number. This time we did 240 minus 180. Let's slide on over to the third quadrant and see what we need to do there. Okay, third quadrant. .300 degrees, and so we know that 300 degrees would be like all the way around over here. So 300, so we are looking for this angle, and you always subtract it in the way that makes sense, and you just go, what is the difference between 360 and 300? 60. So we'll do 360 minus 300 and get 60. Is that okay? And if it's in the first quadrant, then you don't have to do anything. So if we had 20, 40, 45, 80, you don't have to worry about it. And if it's on the quadrant, like 90 or 180, you don't have to worry about that either. So I'm going to give you all a couple of these to try.